Good morning. Hey Pips Apprentice, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Let me see and make sure everything's working. Okay. Trading viewers up, everything is running well. Hey David, good morning. Hey Diana, how are you doing? Okay. Not a lot has happened since the last time we spoke yesterday, right? So we'll go through that today. We do have a couple of news to look at that's coming up on the horizon. So we'll look at that as well. Just want to make sure that everything else is all good. Okay. All right, if you are new to the session, drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're here, let me know that you're good to go, ready to start. For all the regulars, a big welcome back. Thank you for joining me on this daily market analysis. The link is there for the Discord channel if you haven't joined already. I think most of you have. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know, all right? And if you can help me out massively, do remember to click that like and subscribe button. Or that little rocket ship button on TradingView when whenever you can. That would help massively. Diana said not bad, traded the Swiss yen. It was kind of interesting, closed with some little profit. Yeah, closed the yen, the US, for me the US yen, like I was signaling to you guys, not signaling, I was sending out to you guys a message on Discord. But after I closed it, sat there for a little bit, now it looks like it's dropping back down again. I'll tell you more about that shortly. And with that, okay, let's keep going. Quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Please remember that you need to do your own due diligence. The contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, and your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. All right, with that. Now, hey Jimmy, how you doing? Hey Christina, good morning. Hey YJ, good to see you. Good morning, good afternoon. Now, okay, since the last time we spoke, what happened? All right, we know that. We know the Aussie CPI, we spoke about that yesterday. We know the Kiwi cash rates, we spoke about that already. We had some CPI number release after our session. German preliminary CPI month to month, minus 0.4%. It was at 0, expected minus 0.1, came out at minus 0.4. So relatively good news in terms of inflation growth slowing down for Germany. Spanish flash CPI 3.5, 3.6 expected, came out at 3.2. So instead of increasing, we did see a small slowdown in the Spanish CPI. Again, relatively good news for the Spanish and possibly the Eurozone as a whole. We did see preliminary GDP quarter on quarter for the US. This was released at 9:30 p.m. GMT plus 8, was 4.9, expected 5, came out at 5.2. Right, so we had some questions in the Discord channel. You know, some questions going, hey, is GDP important? It is an important economic data release, not only because, and there was a reply that, you know, it's important because it's red. It's not only important because it's red, right? The GDP actually shows you the GDP stands for gross domestic product, so it actually tells you the overall economic activity, this case in the US for the last quarter on quarter. And you can see the economic activity in the US has increased more than expected and more than the previous quarter at 5.2%. With that news, right, with that news at 9:30, what we saw on the dollar. I'll zoom in a bit here because there's a lot of tails and shadows. There we go. Okay, that was the 9. Zoom in a bit more. Okay, that was the 9 p.m. candle where we saw price first sitting at that 102.76 level or 102.80 level, and then on release of the news shot down a little bit, pushed right back up to 102.90. So we did see a bit of an increase in terms of the CPI because of the GDP number. Tested that 50% level, pushed back up a little bit more to test 61.8, but failed to break higher before turning back down again. Okay, so 50, and we were talking about this yesterday, at 102.90, 103.10 should hold, retrace to that level though for that completion before possibly turning back down again. So that was that area that we were looking at, 102.90, which is right at 50%, and 103.10, which is about right up there. It stayed below 61.8 and that trend line. So those are quite important levels. Now, horizontal resistance level here at 103. 61.8, and that confluence of that downward trend line holding the dollar index to the downside for now. Okay, and that was the news from yesterday with the GDP, preliminary GDP quarter on quarter. Then we had Governor Bailey speaking, did not do too much, as I was telling you before. It's an event celebrating the 50th anniversary of the London Foreign Exchange Joint Standing Committee. So not a big price mover. And then on to today, early this morning, we had the Chinese manufacturing PMI number, 49.5, 49.8 expected, came out at 49.4, still in that contractionary phase. Should be bringing the Aussie dollar down a bit more than I expected. So you can see that the Aussie dollar at 9 a.m. right there, it just pushed down a little bit before pushing back up again, right? This push back up really could be most likely because of the dollar index at that 10 a.m. timing, right? Pushing down, and that's why we saw the Aussie push back up. So a little bit expected a bit more movements on the Aussie because of the Chinese manufacturing PMI number, but not a big move. One reason also because it went from 49.5 to 49.4. Not a big change. So one reason why we didn't see a big drop there. Okay, and then through to I have someone calling me a couple of times now. I don't know who that is. Okay, through to, let's move that aside. What do we have today? Later today, 6 p.m., we do have flash estimate, CPI flash estimate for the Eurozone, and core CPI flash estimate for the Eurozone year on year, 2.9 to 2.7, 4.2 to 3.9. So we are looking at a slowdown, a possible slowdown in inflation growth here for the Eurozone. That comes around, we might actually see some weakness on the euro dollar, because if we do see inflation does slow down, then again that's going to like what I've been saying, right, decrease the likelihood for the ECB to hike rates. Okay, so we're looking at that at 6 p.m. GMT plus 8. OPEC meetings, I think there is, okay, OPEC meetings, we have Canadian GDP, core PCE price index. This will be the one to pay attention to. Month to month, we're looking at it going from 0.3 to 0.2. Okay, OPEC is going to deal with oil. We can look at it. I don't usually look at that, but we can look at that later if something interesting comes around. but that could influence the Canadian dollar as well, the loonie, while core PCE price index for the dollar 0.3 to 0.2 we might see that at a 0.1, which could bring a bit more downside to the dollar index. So something to look out for in that case. And then nothing much else through to tomorrow when we look at some employment data, which I'll tell you about tomorrow. Okay, and remember, we are on the 30th of November. It is the end of the month, so it's good time to protect your P&L. Don't feel like you have to rush into any trades. We do have that one to look out for today. The main one is to look out for the core PCE price index for the US for today. Okay, all good? Any questions? Let me know. Hey Goju, how you doing? Hey Miss S. Hey Ted, good afternoon or good morning for everyone else. Hey Wendy, hey Booba, hey Owen. Hope you're all well. Good to see you all rock up to the session. Now, looking at the dollar index here, we are on the 30th of November. Okay. What you will notice as well is that we have that big downward trend line. I added this on just before the session, this upward trend line, so that leads to us having a bit of a bearish pennant to the downside. What I'm looking out for is very similar to what we were talking about yesterday, right? More downside on the dollar index, but at this time I don't think we're going to see a big retrace, right? Yesterday we said it could retrace to 102.90. It got to just below 103, holding that level. This time round, take those away, right? I'm anticipating, so 50 is done. We can take that one away. And 61.8 is right at that resistance level, so I can take that away. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I'm anticipating that it's going to sit there. It's tried to break lower, it's held, it's sitting right there. Most likely going to consolidate along this 102.80 level, maybe break up a little bit, but still looking for that downward move towards 102.50. All right, and if it does break below 102.50, core PC price index today could see that move. I'll show you an example here. Core PCE price index, the last time we saw that drop in September, on September 29th, when it went from 0.2 to 0.1. Let's find September 29th. Diana said another boring trading day. Maybe not, all right? Just because we have the core PCE price index to be released, I think that might bring maybe some volatility back into play. Where is it? 29th is right there. Okay, zoom in a bit. Was it 29th? Okay, 29th of September. Go back to that one at about that point there. Okay, so you can see that that was the news. No, we have daylight saving, so that was the news there. 0.2 to 0.1. We did see a bit of a drop on the dollar index. What you should also notice is that was before, when it was on an uptrend, right? As it was on an uptrend, it found that 105 level, so it came down a little bit but continued back up again. So what I would be looking out for now is if we do see, now that it's on a downtrend, and we do see the core PCE price index come out at that 0.2% or 0.1%, and you can see this was 0.2 to 0.1, right? If this comes out 0.3 to 0.1, I'm anticipating that we might see that drop and hit possibly even down towards 102.10. Seems like a big drop. Seems like it would be expecting a big drop, but we'll look for that first down towards 102.50, break that level, then we can see another move down towards 102.10. Okay, so oops, let me do that. Yeah, well, no, Pips Apprentice, sometimes it is. Yesterday was painfully, was watching paint dry, watching grass grow. It was one of those days. Let me see. Dollar index, break down from bearish pennant to test 102.50. So that's the main idea. We're looking for a weakness on the dollar index to break down. What I want to also see is that it should be needs to stay below 103 resistance. Okay, so even if it doesn't sit there in consolidation, even if it does push up, right, even if it does, say for example, do something like push up to this level, it does needs to stay below that 103 level. I'll still maintain that downward view. Okay. Hey Ahmed, how are you doing? Hey Moss. So, but I do think that this trend line could be quite strong to hold it down. It's held it over the last 2 times, most recently at 1 p.m. GMT plus 8. So I think that it could test and push back down again. So breakdown from bearish pennant to test 102.50, needs to stay below 103. Okay, let's change. Sorry, I'm just going to be a bit pedantic today. Needs to stay below 103 resistance. Then we look for it to break down from bearish pennant to test 102.50. Then below that 102.10. Okay, there we go. Stay there, below that point, break down towards 102.10. Thank you, Diana. Yes, guys, please don't forget to smash that like button. Hey, D-Train, good afternoon. How you doing? I'm just thinking of the possibilities of it breaking up to the upside. Are we going to see some dollar strength recovery? If we have a look at the way that the euro is going to move before we decide on that further. Now on to the Kiwi dollar, right? So we were yesterday talking about the Kiwi dollar to retrace down to that 0.6150 level before pushing back up. It did retrace, it took a long time. It retraced down, is set along this 16150 level, finally broke up. This was early this morning at 8 a.m. and pushed up. Right now looking like it's tracking back down a little bit because of that dollar index pushing back up a little bit right now. Okay, so let me take that away and we can start this view again. 38.2 is broken, so we can take that one away, but 50% is holding strong. Okay, so I don't need 23.6 here. Do we need 38.2? Not particularly, but we can keep that there. What I'm looking at in this case here on the Kiwi dollar, not likely that we're going to see a big retrace again. I don't think we're going to see a big retrace again, because I'm thinking it's going to sit there and push down. So it's possibly going to sit right at this 6180 level before maybe pushing back up. So I would be looking at about that level. That's a very near level, just watch out for that. 6182, that's a near level. Pushing up, we can look to buy 6190. Take profit very tight here. 30. It's a 30 pip take. I don't typically like that kind of, and your stop loss reasonably is about 25. I don't like that. I would prefer if you waited. Okay, let me move this a little bit. I prefer if we took a little of patience and waited for a reaction at this resistance level at 6220. All right, if we have that, then we have the next level here at 6258 or 6260. Right, just round it up a bit, 6260. So back to the present. What you could be looking for, let me just check a quick level here. Look at that, it held at 61.8. Right, it held at 61.8. So we're looking for that to break out above that level. I would again think of 6190. Stop loss, I would say 25. Take profit, I would try for a good 70 pip to the upside with a possible hesitation at 6220. How does that sound? Hey Bjorn, how are you doing? Hey Royal Governor, how are you doing? 6190. Stop loss 25, take profit 70 with a hesitation at 0.6220. And there we go. Okay. We're going to see that sit there, push up, break. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then on to, let me see what's happening here. Kiwi set for sharp monthly rise. That would be good on a 1 hour ago. So we could see that push up, maybe. Aussie dollar, neither of our trades triggered. Take that away. You see that that trend line, although that held, we can adjust that a little bit now to maintain that view. Okay, and I would keep, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we see a bit of a double top forming here on the Aussie? All right, so what I'm thinking is that, just a bit of a digression thought, is it sits there, it slowly pushes right back up, then we see that level there, double top formation, push back down, and then it breaks. So it does this, and then it comes down and breaks that trend line and breaks that support, and then we see a big push to the downside. If I could control the markets, that's what I would do. Quite similar to what we were talking about yesterday as a possible counter trend view. Okay, which I might maintain that idea. 38.2 has held, has bounced up. We're looking for a possible double top on the Aussie. right? In the scenario that, hey, maybe the dollar index pushes right back up. End of the month, we see a bit of a settlement in contracts. We see that push right back up. We could see that form a downward push on the Aussie. But we need to see what happens at 6665. Okay, so Aussie, we're looking for a reaction at 0.6665, right? Because we can be looking at a double top, which means that we will sell at below this point. Again, very similar to yesterday's, I would say. 6610, stop loss tight, no more than 20 pips, right? Take profit could come down to about almost 60 pips to the downside. Okay, so 6610, 0.6610, stop loss 20, take profit 60. That's in a double top idea or a continuation, which would be a break above that point and buy it up. So this is, from memory, I think this is very similar to what we were expecting yesterday. 6675. I want it to close above that point. Stop loss 20, take profit about 50 to the upside. Okay, we're looking to buy 0.6675, stop loss 20, take profit 50. Okay, a bit of couple of ideas there on the Aussie dollar. Yes, we can look at US CAD shortly. That's most depending on dollar index. Yeah, yes, I would say that the Aussie movements on the Aussie would be quite highly dependent on the dollar index in this case, because we're not seeing any major news for the Aussies coming up. Chasing tomorrow, 49, 49.6. If it does come out, yeah, we could see that retracement down. This Chasing manufacturing PMI for the Chinese does tend to have a little bit more impact than this manufacturing PMI from the Chinese government. So maybe that could bring that, one of the factors that could bring it back down again, right? But for now, I would say that overall volatility of the Aussie dollar for now would be still dependent on the dollar index. Good morning, Angel Case. How are you doing? Okay, now that's still sitting there. Okay, that's still sitting there. We'll let that be. Then on to the yen. So yen, I did that, right? I was telling you guys, first part worked out brilliantly. Where we had that pennant, it broke right up, tested and held at 38.2, right where we drew our line there, 147.80, turned right back down, triggered a sell, and then nothing happened, right? I came in this morning, I had 10 pips, I thought, nah, it looks like it's going to bounce back up, closed out the trade. So that was, we did not see another 100 pip move on the yen, unfortunately. If you guys took the yen trade, do let me know. If you took any trades that we spoke about yesterday, please let me know. I want to know. I would love to find out. A lot of lines here. I'm looking to clear out some lines. Let me see. Okay. We definitely don't need that anymore. 38.2 here can go. Oh, no. 23 can go away for that. 38.2 can go away for that. Okay, so that level still holds. So take that away and all our squiggly lines. I'm pretty sure there'll be a faster way, but I'm going to do it one at a time, just in case I clear out too many different things. Okay, now it's found a bit of a support, a bit of a level here at 146.80. Right, it's found a bit of a level here. Early yesterday morning, tested that level, came down. This morning came quite close again before bouncing a little bit. Now it looks like we might still see that downside, but it's just hesitating a little bit right now. Okay, I thought I saw a head and then a shoulder, but I don't see a shoulder either way. So I don't see a head and shoulder pattern there. What I would, in this case, now be looking for is for the yen to stay below 147.80. So you can do that. Pushing up right now is going to drag the yen up. Okay, so it can do whatever it does in that area, but I'm only looking to sell it back down. Look for it to come down, and I'm only looking to sell down once if it breaks below those points. Right? Because I don't want to sell here again like what we did yesterday and have it ding dong and dangle around here without doing anything too much. Okay, so I would prefer to let it go up and sell down. So the safer, again, I think I say this all the time, but the safer option would be 146.70 stop loss, tight 20 pips, take profit 60 to the downside, or let it go up. So this is the safer option. Right, the longer wait, but you're going to see momentum push that down. Or what you could be looking for is a test and reject again, 147.65 maybe, stop loss 30 pips, take profit in this case could come down 80, and if we have that momentum we can see that push down further again. This is a bit riskier because it could just bounce around this level. But that's something that you could look out for. Okay, I'll draw that again just to properly show you what I mean. Oh, did that. What looks like the yen can do is that it could come up to this point, test, do very similar to what I did, and we see a double top and push down. Then you can look to sell down, right? Or it would just sit around this level, push up a little bit, sit around this level, and turn back down. I'm pretty sure I drew this the same yesterday, and do that. Okay, I'm just trying to guess how far is it going to go. Dollar index looks like it really wants to push it up, wants to break out of this level. It is holding. It is going to be held by a couple of levels there. So we are thinking that, I'll tell you what, do that. Let's try for that. Okay, so we're looking for that to push up, test, and turn back down. We have a couple of levels there, especially 146.80 to pay attention to. Moss took the yen trade, had a limit order for CAD, both triggered but ranged. Close CAD, still holding yen. Yeah, yen's bouncing back up a little bit now, so you might want to watch out about that. 147.65. 147.65, stop loss 30, take profit 150. Okay, take profit 150, but we have a hesitation at 146.80. Okay, there we go. Move yen to break even. Good job, Moss. All right, cool. I just don't like that retrace, that strong move. I want to see that turn back down a little bit. Then onto the pound dollar. Again, that did not trigger, but it came close, right? It came bounced and pushed right back up again. Holding this level, 23.6 is holding. 38.2 does not need to feature. We're looking at this push, and if I took this move up to here, a bit like that, could find a bit of a support. Test and push back up. It looks like we're going to see dollar being pushed back up, but that resistance level at 1.2730 seems to be holding quite strongly, right? And I'm just thinking of that pushing back up again, the dollar index pushing back up. Again, it needs to hold above this range. Pound dollar needs to stay above this range to maintain its upward push. This is what I would like to see on pound, is possibly a break and bounce. Very similar to yesterday, we say we'll come down here and bounce back up. This time a smaller drop, slightly smaller drop. Can be looking for 1.2670. Stop loss 30 pips. Take profit 60. Back up to that resistance. That dollar should push up. I'm looking for that, maybe now looking for that to do that, back down again. Spiros is in the US yen, entry at 147.62. 147.62, you got in early, good job. You got in right at the reversal there. Looks like it might come back and threaten that, Spiros, so something to think about. Okay. It could bounce off this level back up, but I want to see that. I don't want to trade it up because I don't think there is a lot of space to the upside, near about a slightly less than 50. So we'll do that one. 126.70, 30 to 50 to 60. Okay, oops, take that away. 1.2670, stop loss 30, take profit 60. Again, wait for that retracement to complete. It hasn't been right after all our big yen trades or big trades from 2 days ago. It seems like it's all settling down a little bit right now. So I'm just watching that. It might bounce. If it bounces from this trend line, don't do anything on the pound dollar. I feel that it could be quite toppish right now. It's struggled to break new highs. So I feel like it could be quite toppish right now. Okay. Then onto the euro, I'll maintain this view. Right, I'll move that right across. I'll move that right across for now. I'll maintain this view that it's testing the support, but also that we do see that 38.2 level there. So it might come down a little bit more. Can't use that line again. It might come down a little bit more. Let me see where 50 is. 50 is quite a way away, quite quite a distance away. Dollar index is really gaining some strength. Whether it's going to be a short term or whether it's going to be sustained, we will have to see. What you can... Wait, pound dollar, we're looking at it to bounce. Let's think of a counter trend idea here on the euro. Think of a counter trend idea here on the euro, a counter trend setup here on the euro, right? It's coming towards that 38.2 level. So what if it breaks? So give it a bit more space, let it break below 50, which you would see is also below that equal lows there. So I would say 1.0920, stop loss tight, no more than 20 pips here, and take profit. You would go down to almost to 65 with a bit of a with some hesitation. More at 61. I don't think it happened at 61. I think if it breaks 50, then you could have something there at 1.089. Not really. It's a weak hesitation here. Okay, let me just check one more thing. That's pushed down nicely. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Maybe I don't even have that. I would say 1.0920, 20 to 65. Okay, so I'm looking at a counter trend on this to sell 1.09 20. Stop loss 20, take profit 65. Okay, this very similar is I would say it's a counter trend trade setup. This summary is getting more and more wordy. Does this summary work for you guys? You know, I post up the summaries. I post up the summaries here on my trading view as the levels discussed. Does it work for you guys? Should we have more info on it? Should we have less info on it? Or it's fine the way it is? Do let me know. Yeah, dollar index is getting interesting. Interesting strength on the dollar. No major reasons. We had the Swiss retail number. I don't really bother about that. A bit of a negative number though. I think the main thing will be that went up quickly. Yeah, it did. Thanks, Philip. Yeah, the main thing will be this, the core PC. So I wouldn't rush into anything right now. Look at that, and I show you the 15-minute time frame. Right, it's just been push, push, push. Right, we might see that test and then turn back down. That's outside. So in 2 minutes, how I look at this is in 2 minutes, if that stays out that way, then we could see that turn back in as outside the Bollinger, could hold, 103 could hold. No, getting too excited. Yeah, so 103, looking for 103 to hold. In the next 1 minute, might see that push back down, but we'll keep an eye on that. Okay. Then, so I like that on the euro. We outdated that already. Yes, that's done. Push up, big drop down. Yeah. You know, looks like it's going up, grabbing some liquidity, break out the level, turn back down. We'll see how that goes. It's that reaction along 103. So it needs to stay below that resistance level. I'm losing faith as I'm looking at the prices move. I'm losing faith that, wait, hang on, what's happening on the euro? It's pushing up because of the euro. Consumer spending, not great numbers on the euro. CPI, seeing that push down from minus 0.1 to minus 0.2. That's why we're seeing that weakness on the euro. I want to get into some trades. Hang on a second, let me just check. Might see that bounce because it's outside of the Bollinger. So this is slowly becoming, or quickly becoming, a bit of a live trading session, guys. If you don't mind, we will digress a little bit from a analysis to a live trading session. I do know that many of you look forward to sessions like that. Okay, so you can see here that on the dollar index M15 time frame, it's outside of the Bollinger. It's outside the Bollinger. So I'm anticipating that, very similar to what we saw here, right? Once it's outside, it should, or it could come back in, especially with that horizontal resistance holding as well. So you watch out for that. Then on to the back to the H1 time frame, you see that in 14 minutes that candle is going to close. If it closes like that, maybe it's going to push up a little bit more before turning back down, but it will still be considered as a reaction along that resistance. You can see now dollar index again back to the M15, tracking back down a little bit, not reversing, but retracing from that resistance because of several factors: resistance level and that Bollinger level. So we'll still keep an eye on that. Euro dollar, again, you see outside the Bollinger, and this is why I love the Bollinger Band. It's way outside. I do think that we might see that continue down, but it could see a bit of a retrace before turning back down again. Main thing is that we're going to see what happens here at 50. That could be a very, that could be a live trade quite soon, right? Driven because of what's happening here on the euro. Did not expect such a big reaction from the French CPI numbers. But you see that after that we have at 6 p.m. these numbers to be released. Like I was telling you all, right? If it does come out at 2.7 or 2.6 on the CPI flash estimate, that's going to reduce the need or the likelihood for the ECB to hike rates further, leading to a push to the downside on the euro. And that's why we're thinking of that move on the euro dollar. Okay, so movements have, a spike up has slowed down a little bit, and we will resume to the normal broadcast. All right, let's get back to it. We'll get through the list and then we'll have a look. Again, that I should take out the US Swiss franc. I'm not a big fan of it. That did not trade up. And that's done. Diana says, in my opinion, dollar index will reject from, I know you told me what VIB is, but I forgot what VIB is again. Something imbalance. Level on the daily time frame plus RSI is oversold. Let's check that. That level, yeah, so it might push up. I think we were talking about this to that 103 about, yeah, 103.20 level before turning back down. But actually, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that a break above 103.20 could see that push up quite strongly. All right, RSI is actually turning out of that oversold region. All right, remember I was just talking about the RSI here, using the RSI, so you can check that. I'm actually thinking we might see a bit of a recovery on the dollar, but maybe not today. Well, I don't think today, especially with the core PCE price index. I think that maybe it might be a feature for December where we see that bounce back up again. But for now, we're just looking at that point there. Okay? Yeah, good spot there, Dinah, but I think that we were talking about 103.20. It could come up to that point, 103.10, 103.20, like we said yesterday, before turning back down again. I think it comes down to what happens here later at 9:30 p.m. One more interesting thing you'll see is that this number is really flip-flopping. It's flip-flopping away around. CME Fed Watch 2 is now flipped over to a 4.2% chance of a rate hike in December. So yesterday was a 0 chance, more on the rate cut. Today is back up to 4.2, so it's flip-flopping there, and that's why we're seeing the dollar doing a bit of a flip-flop as well. I just want to see that hold, okay? So we'll keep those there. Sweezy in between this two levels. Check the H4 just to make sure my levels are reasonable. That's fine. H1 again. Bollinger's back up again. Anticipating that that's going to sit there. What you want to see on the Sweezy is a bit like what we spoke about yesterday, but in this case, not a big retrace up to the trend line. Maybe test and then back down again. Test that resistance level of 8750. Okay, so we can be looking at about 8745. I want it quite, because of the big downward trend line, I want it quite tight. 30 pips. I hate that. You know, do nothing. Do nothing. I don't want to be looking at 30 pip setups, because 30 pip setups don't give you a lot of space to make decisions. You know, very quickly it looks like it's going to hit a take profit, but it could also very quickly retrace right back up. You don't have time or chance to move it to break even. Too much of an active management on the trade there, so I wouldn't even be looking at that. I would say that, you know, do nothing on the Sweezy. Okay, that's fair. Then onto the CAD. I know someone said that they got onto the CAD. Yeah, Moss got onto the CAD, triggered, closed the CAD for a profit. Very good. Again, it is holding that, not resistance, that support level. Take that away. We were looking for that as a counter trend trade. You know, your stop loss have come very close to being triggered, but then it's bouncing back up again. So we take that away, and I'm watching this very closely over the next couple of minutes. I want to see what happens here. It's very similar to what we saw yesterday, right? Yesterday we were right there, 3 o'clock. Push, strong push, and then a retrace, and then set there and push right back down. So this could be a strong push, a bit of a retrace, sit around this level, maybe push back down. We'll see how that goes. So what I would do here on the CAD would be nothing for now. Look for reaction at that resistance if the dollar pushes up. CAD news tonight, GDP number, no change expected. OPEC meetings. OPEC considers one billion, 1 million, no, sorry, not billion, 1 million barrels per day extra production cuts. Okay, production cuts. So that could reduce, or that would reduce the supply on, and then that could push the CAD back down. So I wouldn't be looking for a test of that resistance. I would be looking for a break of that support to the downside. Big drop there. I don't see the CAD dropping 130 pips even with OPEC. All right, I don't see that happening. I think that should be at about that point. That would be reasonable. That would be reasonable. So push that right back up. We have about 70 pip move to the downside here on the CAD. All right, so yes, you can get in earlier once it breaks that support, but bear in mind there is this point here. So what I would say is look for it to go below 1.3540, 30 pip stop, 70 pip take to the downside on the CAD. I saw something from D-Train. Let me just put that in first. 1.3540. Stop loss 30. Take profit 70 to the downside. 1.3540. Yes. Okay. If OPEC cuts on production, supply is going to be less, right? Which would push oil prices back up. Hey, wait, hang on. One second. I did not realize I was on H4 time frame. Check the H1 in this case. Sorry, did not realize I was on H4. Just want to make sure my levels are reasonable here on H1. That's fine. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, so if the OPEC cuts production 1 million barrels a day, I don't think is a huge number, right? But that's going to push prices. In this case, WTI is at that resistance level, near-term resistance level, could push that up right slightly higher to just below 0.80, 79.50, right? Could push that right back up. For Brent, push slightly up to 84, right? It's quite a key level there at 84. So we're looking at, well, okay, so when oil prices climb, right, that's going to lead to higher demand for the Canadian dollar, and that's why we will anticipate that the Canadian dollar could strengthen, and that would be that push to the downside. Okay? D-Train is saying dollar index seems to be bouncing at the S1 of a standard daily pivot, or Euro. Okay, Euro seems to be bouncing off at the S1 of standard daily pivot. At that point, I guess, daily. At that point, that level there. Royal Governor, we have not got to gold. We've just got a lot of other things to talk about today, so we haven't got to gold. You know, looking at the euro dollar, I really like a possible retrace to back down again. So I agree with D-Train on that view. That it does look like it's bouncing off, but I do think that we might see a continuation back down. This is just going to be interesting. Look at that retrace. Now I want to see what happens here on the dollar index. We've done CAD, and then now we get to gold. All right, still sitting in that range, not doing anything at all. Dollar index fluctuating a little bit. Gold still sitting at that point. We were saying yesterday gold above 2050 could trade up to 2066. I'll maintain that view, considering that we're anticipating that downside for the dollar index. Downside of the dollar index could push gold back up. So I'm still looking for gold to be above 2050 to trade up to 2066. That's relatively straightforward. Okay. Whew. What a journey. What a journey today. So we had our analysis. We've had a brief live trading session as the dollar index spiked up, as the euro dollar spiked down. But at the end of it, it's still sitting at that point. We have not triggered any trades yet, but you can see that the price action is getting interesting, especially on the Kiwi dollar. Aussie dollar, not so much, not yet. Yen sitting right there. Maybe something to consider is that trade below this point. You know, tight 20 pips to a good 60, 70 pip to the downside. We can add that on as a possibility. Pound dollar, maybe gonna sit. I'm not gonna trade the pound dollar up. I only want to see a retrace before I trade it back up. Euro dollar would be nice if I can sell this down for a good 65 pips, but that would screw up everything else, because euro dollar dropping is gonna push the dollar index back up. So you know, we know that at least we have a opportunity here on the euro. Squeezy, do nothing. CAD, look for OPEC meetings to push back down. Not anticipating a big change here for the GDP on the Canadians. And then gold, still dependent on how the dollar index is going to do before we see gold possibly trading back up again to 2066. With that, I did a whole session, I did a live training session, I did a verbal summary and also the written summary. If you have any questions, I'll see you on Discord, dude. Link is there. If you haven't already, do join. And if you have any questions, reach out to me on Discord. And for now, trade well, trade safe. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care now. Bye-bye.